Okay, it looks like I'm finally in my Ruby Rose cosplay, though. It's been a while since I've actually been in this, but I guess other than that, it looks like I'm good to go for the Five Nights at Freddy's movie. So, alright, let's see what the critical reception on this is. Oh dear. That's not good. But hey, what's this? The audience score is actually much higher? Well, all the more reason why I'll still actually see it anyway, so might as well get right on that. Boo! Did I scare you? Well, certainly a whole lot more scarier than, of course, my FNAF plushies I got. But hey, I guess it's basically in context for sure, so alright, I'll go ahead and set those down right here, and yeah, I guess that'll be good enough, so yeah. Hey guys, this is Ackleyattack4427 here, and, well, welcome to, of course, a Halloween edition of a brand new Thoughts video for all of you guys, and yeah, if you can't already tell, I'm, of course, in costume as we speak, to which, yeah, basically I'm in my, pretty much in one of my gender-bent Ruby Rose cosplays after quite a long time, for sure, and for those who are wondering, no, this is not Ruby related for sure. I just need to give out something for this special Halloween edition of course, my thoughts videos for sure. So yeah, I think it's what I can say, of course, at that front. And yeah, I guess if you couldn't tell right but now, Halloween is, of course, right around the corner as we speak. And yeah, I guess it makes sense to, of course, be dressed in costume just for this special occasion for sure, because, yeah, I think, quite frankly, it's what I can do, of course, at that front, and, well, I guess for today's Thoughts videos, for sure, well, if you have seen my plushies that I showed off at the beginning, I guess it's quite clear, of course, what we're talking about here today, So yeah, I've been building this up for quite some time now, and yeah, quite frankly, after about a few weeks since after pretty much the previous movie that we actually saw from that said studio, I think it's about time that we finally dive back into, of course, Blumhouse once again, So yeah, I guess it is no big surprise, of course, on that front, because, yeah, they have been well known for, of course, putting out some pretty interesting horror flicks for sure, and I have already talked about a good number of their films in the past for sure, and, well, I guess, if anything, for today's Thoughts video, we're not only going to be talking about the latest film from Blumhouse for sure, but, of course, in light of Halloween this year, I think we're going to be in for something really quite spooky for sure. I mean, really, 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 really spooky for sure. So, alright, so let's see. Well, let's see. I think I know. I guess the ultimate question is, what could be good enough for something spooky for, of course, this Halloween for sure that Blumhouse could give us? Well, I guess it is quite obvious. How about the long-awaited film adaptation of a well-known horror game that's been around for nearly a decade now? If you couldn't actually guess from, of course, what I've actually showed off in that massive hint I gave to you, I think it is quite clear, of course, what I'm going to be talking about for sure. And oh yeah, I guess I kind of forgot to mention earlier, in case you were wondering, I am actually standing up right in front of the camera this time, as opposed to sitting down in my chair, because let me tell you, as cool as this cosplay is, it can be really tight around the chest area for sure, and it can hurt like hell for sure, so yeah, I'm saving the trouble for that, and I'm sorry I forgot to mention that earlier. We can now proceed for sure, But yeah, I guess for today's Thoughts video for sure, I think it's about time that we dive right into Blumhouse once again, as we go ahead and talk about the latest movie that have finally came out for sure, that's based around the iconic horror game for nearly a decade now for sure. And if you can't already tell right but now, yes folks, it's that time for sure. It's time for us to talk about today's movie, which is none other than Five Nights at Freddy's. So yeah, that's of course what I'm going to be talking about here today, and yeah, it's not only the latest movie that had just came out very recently, but it is of course based on the iconic horror video game franchise of the same name for sure. So yeah, it's pretty much what I can say on of course that front. All right. Okay, so yeah, I guess before I could go ahead and talk about this latest movie that had just came out, I think it makes sense to actually first talk about pretty much the main meat and potatoes behind this film adaptation, which is of course the source material that it's based on. So yeah, and if you can't already tell, I think it makes sense to talk about, well, pretty much the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise in a nutshell, particularly the original video games for sure. So yeah, what can I say about the original Five Nights at Freddy's video games that a lot of people haven't already for sure. In fact, if anything, I was, pretty much if anything, I wasn't really that into Five Nights at Freddy's when it first came out, as I was starting up college around the time it came out for sure. But believe it or not, this, pretty much the iconic horror game has actually been gaining a lot of traction and of course a lot of publicity over the years, all thanks to of course some well-known gaming channels on of course YouTube, actually playing through this pretty much the iconic game for sure. You name it, Markiplier, Jacksepticeye, PewDiePie, MatPack of course Game Theory, just to name a few for sure, with a whole lot more have actually done it for sure. So yeah, quite frankly, about everybody has actually done Five Nights at Freddy's for sure. So yeah, I guess it could pretty much make sense on of course that front for sure, and of course, ever since it first came out, the game itself has actually been a massive hit for sure, sparking numerous amount of sequels and spin-offs for sure, and not only that, it's actually garnered up a massive fan base online for sure, which can of course be odd to say the least. But just because I don't understand something doesn't mean it's bad or anything. And I think I'm willing to bet that there's a lot of bizarre fan bases online that are actually way more bizarre than Five Nights at Freddy's for sure. Right up there alongside the fans of Sonic the Hedgehog, from what I can gather. But yeah, I think it's what I can say on, of course, that front. And, oh yeah, let's not forget to mention, I've actually known, of course, one cosplayer that I've known of online, and I actually did meet up with a couple of conventions, Funtime Sapphire, who's put together some really awesome Five Nights at Freddy's cosplays for sure. So yeah, definitely check out Funtime Sapphire on of course, Instagram. It's actually well worth checking out for sure. So yeah, and of course, in light of the movie, I've actually decided to play through a bit of course, the first Five Nights at Freddy's game for sure, in my first and so far only attempt to do a Let's Play, to which, by the way, to the people who've actually commented on that video saying that they really liked that my attempt to play through Five Nights at Freddy's, thank you so much for the so yeah. And of course, to make it short, sweet, and to the point, on what I thought of the first Five Nights at Freddy's game, I actually really enjoyed it for sure. I thought the ideas and the concepts are really great. It's creepy and atmospheric, and of course, everything else that I can say about it, it actually makes it a pretty good game. Not among one of my favorites, but I do think this game is actually a really good one for sure. And I say, yeah, pretty much, as someone who has actually not played much of video games now, I definitely say it was well worth it to play through the first Five Nights at Freddy's game for sure. And don't worry, hopefully, I guess, with another attempt, and I'll actually beat the game all the way through, I may dive right into, of course, the other games, just to see how they fare up compared to the first game for sure, So, yeah, I guess it's why can say, of course, the Aga front. So, yeah, and of course, in light of the movie that finally came out, I'll be honest, I was really quite cautious at first, but yeah, quite curious to see on how this movie will do for sure, because yeah, quite frankly, pretty much this movie has been in the works for pretty much a decade, yeah, almost a decade now, ever since the game first became a thing for sure, to which, yeah, is actually a really pretty much quite an interesting journey that this movie had to endure for sure, So, yeah, and of course, if anything, pretty much with it going from Warner Brothers to Blumhouse, to even having pretty much a couple of knockoffs of it, like, of course, the Banana Splits movie and Willy's Wonderland, to which I have yet to check those out, so yeah, don't attack me in the comments saying that I may have missed out on them, but don't worry, I'll get to them when I get to them soon, So yeah, excuse me for focusing on other movies that pique my interest more, But yeah, and that's just to name a few for sure. This movie has been in the works for quite some time, and of course I knew right away when I saw the trailers, it actually does look interesting, and I'm quite curious to see how it will do for sure, and of course, well, leading up to where we are right now, I was quite surprised that currently, as of now, this movie is really tanking hard with, of course, critics as we speak, as of course described in, of course, the opening sketch for sure at the beginning of this video. But however, I was even quite amazed and yet surprised as well that many movie-going audiences and even fans of course, pretty much the game have actually really enjoyed it more than critics actually hate it for sure. But yeah, I guess pretty much in that case, I still want to see it nonetheless, just to see on how it will do, and well, of course, pretty much as shown by these pictures that you see here, I did manage to, of course, get myself in costume for, of course, this one guy, with, of course, me and my in one of my Ruby Rose cosplays for sure, because, well, if you have seen Ruby Chibi, it is established that Halloween is Ruby's birthday, so makes sense, I guess, So yeah, pretty much on that scenario alone, I actually did come fully in costume to, of course, see this movie for sure, just to see how we'll fare up for sure. So yeah, I think it's what I can say on, of course, that front, and well, I just literally got back from, of course, seeing it not too long ago, and I guess a lot of you guys may be wondering, what do I think of this movie now that I finally got the chance to see it? Well, that's kind of hard to say, and I know a lot of people are going to be surprised once I actually say this, but for me, I enjoyed it. Yeah, I'm completely serious. I thought this movie was decent. Wrap your mind around that. But yeah, I guess if anything, pretty much my opinion on this movie does kind of vary a little bit from two different ways that I can actually describe it. As a movie on its own, it's not good, and if anything, it's pretty much, well, crap for sure. But for a adaptation of course, the well-known horror game, I actually did think it did a pretty nice job at it for sure. And I mean, okay, it's not great by all means, but I actually do think this movie is decent. So yeah. I can't necessarily say it's good, but thank God I didn't find it terrible. I actually do think this is actually a pretty decent flick for sure. So yeah. But did I have a good time with it? abso-freaking-lutely for sure, so yeah, that's pretty much what I can say on, of course, that front. Alright. Alright, so yeah, now that I've actually got the short version out of the way, I think I might as well go ahead and talk about everything that I need to talk about. So yeah, for starters is, of course, the story, and I guess I can say this for sure, to which, on paper, this is actually a pretty inventive idea on paper for sure. Pretty much, if anything, not only actually being almost like the original video games that it was based on, but it also does add in some stuff to make it stand out as a movie for sure, to which, yeah, I guess it is actually what I'm actually in for sure. Just a little something to do something a little different for sure. So yeah. Yeah, to which, yeah, on paper, it does have some good ideas, and I think this movie did a fine job, and of course, doing exactly that. While in execution, on the other hand, it's not really that great by all means. In fact, I dare even say that pretty much story-wise, it does kind of go in the direction you would go for. Yeah, when it has to be like the original games. That actually is quite inventive, and I think this movie really did a fine job on that. While other parts, I have to say, does kind of drag out for a bit, and actually does become a bit of a snooze fest entirely. So yeah, I guess story-wise, it is a little hit and miss from what I can gather, but hey, I guess if anything, I still think it did a fine job regardless, but I cannot say the same thing for the film's writing. I have to say, pretty much if anything, for one thing, I'm actually really glad that pretty much one chunk of course, the film's screen, pretty much one chunk of the film's writers is, of course, done by Scott Cawthon, the original creator behind the original game for sure, and yeah, really quite surprising that this only took 3 writers to actually write this movie. 3 writers for sure, like, pretty much, if anything, pretty much the game's original creator, the film's director, and the other one I completely forgot who it is, but still, so yeah, pretty much if anything, yeah, I guess in terms of its writing, I have to say, it's very sloppy from what I can gather, and I just really don't think a good chunk of dialogue and all the other stuff that is written out is not really very well done, in my opinion, and I just really think it's just piss poor at best for sure as hell. So yeah, but however, I can say this right now, pretty much a small chunk of the film that was written out, it actually is done well for sure, and I think most of the jokes and comedy bits, I have to say, it did get a decent chuckle out of me. Not a full-on laugh, but it did give me a bit of a chuckle from what I can gather for sure, so yeah, but the rest of it just didn't work out for me, in my opinion, and yeah, maybe I think with another rewrite, I think it could have been much better than what I was expecting, but I think with what we got, yeah, it's pretty much what I could say on that front. So yeah, that's what I can say for, of course, the story and the writing, I have to say for sure. So yeah, it's pretty much what I can say on that front. Alright. Alright, so now that I've got those 2 out of the way, I guess I might as well move on to the next couple of things I need to talk about, which are, of course, for starters, the characters, and I'll admit, for the characters, it does kind of vary in pretty much, well, of course, what I can gather, pretty much, if anything, pretty much for the first set of, pretty much the first half of the characters we got, I do think they actually are very well done, and I think they are actually given some pretty nice development that I have to say, and yeah, I mean, it's too much exposition from, of course, why King Gather, and that's not exactly what we want for a pretty much for a sure. And yeah, with all this exposition, with all the exposition going on for of course the first half of the characters, I was like, yeah, this is a Five Nights at Freddy's movie, right? So shouldn't you actually, you know, get rid of all that exposition and get right onto the stuff that we came all the way to see? Well, I'm not saying it's bad by all means. If anything, pretty much the first half of the characters, I actually really do get myself into for sure. And yeah, like I said, they did have some nice development that may have relied on exposition a little too much, but I still fall through regardless. And while the other half of the characters, yeah, they're just stale and repetitive from what I can gather, and I'm already like, oh, Christ, just die already. And yeah, part of me actually does kind of feel a bit of joy when I see them, you know, kick, pretty much get the axe for sure. So yeah, pretty much of anything, I'm a little half and half with, of course, the characters, but hey, pretty much the ones I like are still actually, pretty good regardless, so. And as for the actors that came on board to play all these characters, I'll admit, admittedly, I do think this film is actually very nicely casted for sure, and most of the actors that came on board to play all these characters, I think they did give out some pretty nice performances for sure. I mean, granted, I know they had to work with such piece of shit material that's actually given to them for sure, but I do think. But I do think they did give off some pretty nice performances for sure. Like, of course, two of the ones that I think really stood out to me are definitely Josh Hutcherson as Mike, and of course Matthew Lillard for sure. I won't give away, of course, who he plays in the movie. You'll just have to see for yourself. And of course, let's not forget. Pretty much the one aspect I really do like is that I really do like of how pretty much Josh's character, Mike, actually still wants to pretty much do whatever he can to, of course, support his pretty much his sister Abby, who is in fact played by Piper Rubio for sure. And yeah, to me, I think if anything, Piper Rubio, I think she did a fine job regardless. I mean, okay, yeah, I've seen much better kid actors that pretty much gave out much better performances, but I actually didn't mind Piper Rubio as Abby in this movie. I think she nailed the part just fine for sure. It's not really Oscar worthy, but I still think it is actually still good nonetheless. So yeah, I guess it's what I can say for, of course, on that front. The characters are, of course, a hit and miss, while the actors, I do think they gave out some pretty nice performances for sure, so yeah, that's pretty much what I can say on, of course, that front. Alright. Alright, so yeah, now that I've actually got those two out of the way, what else is there for me to talk about? Actually, quite a whole lot. I guess seeing of how this is a horror movie, I think we should talk about the main aspect when it comes to any horror movie for sure. That being, of course, the tone and atmosphere for sure. So yeah, I guess if anything for its tone and atmosphere, I'll be honest, I think it's probably anything spectacular from what I could gather, but I do think it's actually fine nonetheless. Yeah, well, I mean, I did say fine for sure, because if anything, pretty much the proper setting they gave to, of course, this movie, I actually did think it actually works well for sure. In fact, I was really investing on, of course, what goes on through its towing atmosphere for sure, and I really got myself really intrigued, of course, all of the heck for sure. While other times I just kind of felt it was probably not at the right time from what I can gather, and could have used a little bit more adjusting to make it all the more work, and And of course, pretty much of anything for another aspect, which is pretty much the scare factor from what I could say. That's where I think this movie is, of course, probably at its weakest state for sure, because if anything, when you actually play the Five Nights at Freddy's games for sure, pretty much the one thing that really gets you scared up is, of course, when one of the animatronics will, of course, come all the way to you and, of course, gave out this loud, terrifying scream to actually really scare you, almost like you're about to be pretty much be axed off by one of those those animatronics, and yeah, I think from, of course, if anything, that is, of course, where actually pretty much get a lot of people terrified for sure, where, of course, yeah, in the games, they actually do work well, and yeah, it actually did get a good scare out of me for sure, while, of course, for the case of this movie, I do like the way they actually does build up the scare factor for sure, but of course when it leads to the jump scares, yeah, maybe I think they could have added a little stuff to actually scare us a whole lot more for sure, because yeah, I actually wasn't really find myself terrified by all of them. I might have actually seen them coming from like a mile away for sure. So yeah, maybe I think they could have used a little bit more work on the jump scares from what I could gather. But however, pretty much for the deaths, as well as yeah, pretty much for the deaths and stuff, I'll be honest, I actually do like how it's actually creative for sure, because when I actually see someone die for sure by these killer animatronics and everything else that this movie has actually gave to us, I'll be honest, it does kind of bug me a little bit that they have to do it in a PG-13 kind of a way, but I guess for this case, I actually didn't mind it nonetheless, because yeah, I know a lot of people are really upset that this movie did get a PG-13 rating, where it really should have been a hard R rating for sure, but really think about this for a second. Pretty much, if anything, when you play the original games, pretty much, what do you actually get? Well, of course, you get a creepy atmosphere, you get flashing lights and loud noises, and of course, the most iconic is, of course, jump scares. But did it have to rely on blood and gore to actually amp it all up? No, not at all, because, yeah, there's not one single trace of blood and gore showcasing any of the Five Nights at Freddy's games, and yeah, pretty much of anything, that's pretty much the similar case for, of course, this movie. I mean, yeah, I can give it credit that it does be creative with, of course, the deaths, and I'll be honest, I'm really glad it didn't rely on blood and gore to actually make it all the more effective for sure. Because yeah, when you really think about it, and of course, when I previously talked about another Blumhouse movie that came out earlier this year, Megan, yeah, my point still stands. I really do love that film for sure. And yeah, even though it did kind of irk me a bit that it could have been a hard R rating as opposed to being a PG-13, pretty much way for sure, I guess it still works nonetheless, and it still came out as a really solid film for sure, and let's not forget to mention there are a lot of other horror movies that are also rated PG-13 that didn't rely on blood and gore for sure. Well, I mean, okay, yeah, there is a little bit of blood for sure, but not much gore, but still, the ones that actually still worked and actually got tons of praise, I actually do believe it for sure, so I guess I can say the same argument for, of course, this film for sure. Yeah, it didn't have to rely on blood and gore for sure, but the way the death scenes are, of course, handled for sure, I still think they actually are creative, and yeah, literally when I actually saw one of the deaths in this movie, I was like, Jesus fucking Christ! So yeah, that actually is that effective for sure, and I do think this movie did a fine job on that front, despite still carrying out that PG-13 rating for sure, and yeah, I do fully agree. I don't think we're gonna get an R-rated version of this movie anytime soon for sure, so So that's kind of a bummer, but gotta work with what we got for sure, so. So yeah, glad I got that out of the way, and let's see what else, what else can I talk about? Oh yeah, I think pretty much of anything, pretty much on a visual side of things, I'm not gonna lie, this movie actually looks absolutely amazing for sure, because yeah, I can tell from a visual standpoint, the film actually does look really great for sure. Probably think a really great example on what I mean is, well, I guess seeing of how the movie is called Five Nights at Freddy's, you expect us to actually be at, of course, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, where, of course, both the game and this movie actually takes place for sure, and, well, you're pretty much gonna get exactly what you want for sure, so. So yeah, I guess there's no doubt in my mind, pretty much of anything, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza in this movie, I will have to say, actually looks amazing for sure. Pretty much the way it depicts itself as, of course, this semi-Chuck E. Cheese type of style for sure, actually is very well done, I have to say, and I think this movie really nailed it, of course, seeing that on its pretty much for the film's setting for sure, and the way they really built those sets entirely, you really do feel like you actually are in Freddy Fazbear's Pizza for sure, and of course, let's not forget to mention the animatronics for sure, and yeah, pretty much of anything from what I can gather, the animatronics of course this movie, they look absolutely incredible. They actually do look like pretty much the ones from the games for sure, and the way they actually got Jim Henson's Creature Shop to actually work on these animatronics, that's a lot of hard work and effort to actually make them all the more great for sure. And I'm glad this movie actually did it just fine for sure. And I also can't give it credit that it does do the fine job, of course, incorporating some really nice practical effects with, of course, little to no CGI for sure. And yeah, like I said, this movie really did a fine job in doing exactly that for sure. And although I think the one thing that does kind of bug me a bit is that pretty much of anything, for a film called Five Nights at Freddy's, we never actually got to pretty much see more of course, the animatronics in Freddy Fazbear's for sure. So yeah. It does kind of bug me that even though the animatronics actually do look great, they're hardly in this movie entirely, so I don't know what's going on pretty much either from director's notes or producer's notes from what I can gather, but hey, again, I think for a film called Five Nights at Freddy's, we need to be in more of, well, Freddy Fazbear's Pizza for sure, so yeah, I guess you can make the argument that it does want to pretty much give out more development to, of course, our human characters for sure before we can get right on to the cool stuff, and that's totally understandable, but hey, I do wish we could have added more of the whole stuff for sure, but hey, regardless, on a visual standpoint, the film actually is really great, and I really do love the visuals and the effects, and of course this movie, it really is quite amazing for sure as hell. So yeah. Yeah, enough about that, on to, of course, the rest of the stuff, so yeah. And, of course, the direction of this movie, which, by the way, this film is, of course, directed by Emma Tammy, to which I assume she might be a newcomer or something, I don't know, so, but I guess her directing, of course, this movie, I actually do think it's alright. Nothing anything that great or anything, but I do think it's alright from what I can gather, so. So yeah, and of course, the cinematography in this film, yeah, I can give it credit. It actually is shot very well, for sure. I really do love the really nice camera shots and angles they actually went for with, of course, this one. And it actually, again, it actually does work well, for sure. And I really do admire that from what I can gather, so yeah, and of course, the film, yeah, pretty much the film's aiming, I'll have to say, it's cut up pretty fine for sure. Nothing really anything that spectacular by all means, but it's still alright from what I could gather. And the music, I have to say, yeah, the musical scoring, everything, again, I do think it's actually composed quite well. Nothing anything that pretty much that incredible or exciting anything, but I do think it's fine for sure. And of course all the nice little references and little Easter eggs and stuff from the franchise. Again, I'll give it credit that it actually is very well done, I have to say for sure. Nothing anything pretty much similar to other movies that did incorporate some awesome Easter eggs from what I can gather, but I do think it is good nonetheless. And of course, more importantly, for while I don't think it actually does work well as a movie, I do think it actually does pretty much represent the original video games rather fine for sure. Not by much, but just a tad bit. Not much, but only a little bit, so yeah, that's pretty much everything that I can say in a nutshell for, of course, this movie, so yeah. It's pretty much what I can say on, of course, that front. Alright. Alright, so yeah, that's pretty much everything that I can say on, of course, that front, so yeah, overall, as a movie on its own, it's pretty much a, yeah, I think pretty much of anything, as a movie on its own, it's pretty much a bland and forgettable horror flick that you can easily pass through pretty much anyways, but however, as pretty much an adaptation of course, the iconic horror game, I'll be honest, I can't find myself to actually hate this flick for sure. I actually do think it's actually a pretty nice and decent flick for sure. So yeah, pretty much of anything, pretty much it doesn't work on, of course, that front, but when it needs to be a Five Nights at Freddy's movie for sure, and actually be adapted from the games, I actually do think it actually works just as fine as you would expect for sure. I wouldn't find myself actually hating this flick nonetheless, but hey, I still enjoy it, and I actually do think it's pretty much decent at best for sure, so yeah, I guess either way, did I actually have a good time with it? Absolutely. So yeah, I guess it's what I can say, of course, on that front. Do I find myself really enjoying this flick? Well, only a little bit, but not entirely. Is it terrible? God, no, for sure, so. But yeah, I do think it actually is a decent enough flick for sure, but I couldn't find myself having a good time for sure, and yeah, I do find myself liking this film more than I actually hate it for sure, but hey, I'm not complaining nonetheless. I do think it did the job just as well as you would expect for sure. So yeah, to best describe it, I guess I could pretty much say pretty much on what I thought of this movie, similar to, of course, how I felt about pretty much the movie adaptation of the Broadway musical Dear Evan Hansen. Yeah, as a movie on its own, it's not really that great, and you can easily forget about it after you see it. But when it needs to be pretty much an adaptation of course, the Broadway show, that's where I think it actually works well, and some of the stuff I like seem to have overshadowed the stuff I actually hate for sure, So I guess I can make the same argument for, of course, this movie for sure. This film has about way too many flaws to account, but of course, all the stuff that I actually really do like it, that actually does help to overshadow, of course, the stuff that I hate for sure, so. And yeah, maybe I think with a little bit more adjustments or rewrites here and there, we could have actually gotten a very solid video game movie that both critics and audiences can enjoy for sure. And I know that's saying a whole lot because, yeah, I think with this being absolutely terrible, even though we're living in an age where movies based on video games are now considered good, yeah, maybe I think we could have actually got a little something even better for sure, but hey, guess give it to what we got. I don't mind it nonetheless for sure. So yeah. Part of me actually really does want to be like the critics and tell you to avoid this movie for sure, but honestly, I don't agree. I actually do think this film is well worth checking out for sure. In fact, I do know some die-hard Five Nights at Freddy's fans are probably going to enjoy this flick more than I do for sure, but hey, that's totally fine for sure, and I actually do think you can find something pretty much something of value of course, this movie for sure, and yeah, I guess for what it is, I actually am glad that I saw it, and yeah, part of me actually wish it could have been better from what I can gather, but hey, I'm glad it didn't turn out as terrible as I pretty much as I'm hearing for sure, So yeah, I guess either way, if you are looking for a movie that really does a fine job, and of course representing Five Nights at Freddy's quite well, despite some massive issues for sure, then I say this movie is for you. I say this is well worth checking out for sure. So yeah, by all means, definitely check this movie out for yourself. You can actually see it on the big screen like I just did, or you can stream it on Peacock as of now for sure. Whichever you prefer. I think you're guaranteeing pretty much a not really great, but still a decent enough. Pretty much a decent enough horror flick that you can actually find yourself a value for, so yeah, I think that's pretty much everything that I can say on, of course, that front, so yeah, for my final score, yeah, I guess I'm being nice on this one, and I was divided by giving it either a 6.5 or a 7 out of 10, but I guess given to, of course, for the fact that I'm actually liking the film more than I hate it, yeah, I'll be nice on this one. I'll give it a 7 out of 10 as my final score for sure, to which, yeah, I mean, I know it's kind of hypocritical for me to say, as, of course, I did say in one of my videos that if I rate a movie pretty much a 7 to a 8.5 out of 10, then it would be considered good, but I guess for the case of pretty much saying that I thought this movie was decent, yeah, I guess I can also put it on the decent category for sure, to which, yeah, I guess it's fair enough for sure, so yeah, glad I finally got that out of the way, and boy, did we come full circle for this month, so yeah, we've seen the good with Saw X, the bad with Exorcist Believer, and now we have the decent with Five Nights at Freddy's, so yeah, I guess it's what I can say, of course, at that front for sure. So yeah, like I said, definitely check this movie out for sure. You're probably not gonna get much, but I say you're still gonna get a good enough time with this pretty decent horror video game flick. So yeah, it's pretty much what I can say, of course, that front. Alright, so I guess on that thought, that'll pretty much do exactly that. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this latest thoughts video, and of course, by all means, what do you think of the Five Nights at Freddy's movie? Do you actually really enjoyed it, or do you absolutely hate it? Or do you think it's a decent enough flick like what I thought of it? So yeah, let me know what you thought about it in the comment section below. I would love to know on what you guys think, So yeah, that's pretty much about it. Thank you guys so much for watching this latest thoughts video, and, well, I guess I'll pretty much wrap up, of course, the movies I've seen for October for sure, and yeah, I'm really excited to see what November will have to offer for sure, in terms of movies for sure. I mean, granted, I do have my birthday coming up, which I'm really excited for, but yeah, I'll be really excited to see on how it'll turn out, so yeah, I guess until then, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll definitely see you in the next video, and of course, for me, and of course, well, good old Freddy Fazbear by the way, to which, whew, glad I finally got this movie out of the way, so yeah, for me and Freddy Fazbear, we want to wish you a very happy Halloween, so yeah. Take care, guys. Oh yeah, I completely forgot to mention if I'm actually really lucky, I may do one more of these things before November comes around, but I'll let you know once I do so. But yeah, I guess that's what I can say on that front. Take care.
Special thanks to all of my supporters on Patreon for making today's video possible, including my top tier supporters for this month, VD. So if you want to be like these guys and show your support to us, then go to patreon.com/AckleyattackTV to pledge now, do so, and get some awesome rewards within your budget. Hey guys, this is Ackleyattack4427 here. Thank you all so much for watching today's video. Feel free to like, comment, and share if you enjoy what you're seeing. If you like what you see here and want to see more videos coming up, then go ahead and hit that subscribe button and switch on the notification bell to get notifications and select all notifications to be notified for when we post a new video. And don't forget to switch on notifications on your phone as well. Also, don't forget to check out my second channel and our 2-member channel with Sam the Thomas Fan 1, SamAttack4427TheThomasFan1 Productions for plenty more content you can't find on here. You can check both of our channels out with the links or by our handles provided on screen. Feel free to shoot me an email with my email address provided, backley95@hotmail.com, if you want to ask me a question, want to collab with me for a project you've got in the works, or if you want to book me to be featured for a convention coming up. Follow me on my social media pages on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to keep up to date with me on updates, announcements, and new releases of my videos, as well as plenty of others I've got with my handles provided, as well as the links down in the description box below. Also, don't forget to follow me on TikTok for other videos I've got aside from the ones I've posted on YouTube, and on Twitch for any future live streams I've got coming up soon, as well as join our official Discord server to see what we've provided. If you wish to show your support to me, then feel free to check out my Patreon to get sneak peeks of my videos coming up before they go up online, as well as getting access to updates and playing more in addition to getting some awesome rewards within your budget. Also, don't forget to check out and show your support to me on my wishlist on Amazon, and even supporting me at streamlabs.com/AckleyattackTV/tip that you can find in the description box below, as well as on my Twitch page. And in case you can't find any of the links that are provided, then not to worry about a thing. All the links and stuff are also provided on my link tree that you can also find in the description box below, as well as a few selected number of my social media pages. Other than that, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll be sure to see you in the next video. Take care.